Hello, this is old Mr. Kent of MrKent.com, and you're seeing the last few minutes of a rainstorm that we had, which started, it woke me up at midnight the night before, and I felt the trailer was rocking a little bit, and the lightning and thunder were waking us up, and there was heavy rain hitting the fifth wheel. And so I woke my wife up and I said, we better, pay attention to what's going on out there. So we had thunder and lightning and heavy rain, heavy wind for about an hour. And then about 1 o'clock in the morning, it just changed to heavy rain. And we had heavy rain until what you just saw at the beginning here. It just rained and rained and rained. So by the time I was able to get my drone up, some of the flooding had subsided, but you can see over here in this pasture, I have never seen it flooded so much as it is right now. As a matter of fact, we'll see here in a minute that it overflowed into this drainage ditch right next into the side of it. There, over on the left side of the screen, that's where it's running into the drainage ditch. So it's really flooded. I've never seen it this full. I had a viewer, he's new to the channel, really nice guy, and he looked at some of my recent videos and said, it must rain a lot there. I said, no, this is Arizona, which I think they got the name Arizona from the two words of arid zone, and because it is in one of the world's arid zones. Anyway, so we have broken all records for the Phoenix area for precipitation this year. So anyway, I thought, I'll fly around and see what damage there is, if any, and how much flooding there is. So we'll fly around and take a look at that, and I'll make some comments on it. But I also want to tell you some more about my dad. He was a super guy, and I got a lot to say about him. So anyway, as we come around here, you can see that our road, which is coming down over there, is flooded. You can't drive down some parts of it. Now, there's a road that goes along next to the canal. That's the canal road. But the road that you see with the lake in it right there, that's the road that we live on. And it's really flooded. So as we come around here, I'll tell you some stories. My dad, I got to back up a little bit. In the last video, I talked about how we moved to downtown Seattle. Well, before we moved out of the country out there into downtown Seattle, my folks we had 10 acres of property in the woods, so they bought a couple of cows and they put them up and they put an electric fence around it. Well, my dad designed and built his own electric fence high voltage generator, which worked just like it's supposed to. He tried it out on some of us, and it put out a pulse about once every second. Now you can look up our road and see how flooded it is. And so that was one of the things that he did, which was really amazing to me. Or now that I think back on it, back when I was 5 years old, it was just like, well, that's my dad, Another thing that I'll have to put up a picture of my right index finger. It's kind of looking funny because it got cut off in a lawnmower, a push lawnmower. How that happened was we had a push lawnmower and it was getting dull, and my dad wanted to sharpen it. So he took it into his little workshop that he had and flipped it upside down and took the cutting blade off of the bottom. And if you don't know much about push lawnmowers, there's a cutting blade that catches the grass, and then the blade circling around, they cut the grass. Well, apparently it was dull, so he took the cutting blade off. He mounted the wheel part up on this bench, hooked a motor to it somehow, and got that blade spinning. And then he took a file and he squared off the edges of that blade back and forth across it while it was spinning. And I thought, that's something, because you can see through it, but you can't put your hand through it. I remember that was my thought. And so then also he was putting some kind of a lubricant or something on it, a lubricant of some kind or something. By the way, there's that guy. He's having so much trouble. That's where he's going to put his foundation. I don't know if they've poured it or not, but it's full of water right now. And then over to the left was the steel building he was going to make before it got blown apart. So anyway, he got it all sharpened up with his fancy little setup there, put the blade back on, and my older sister went out to mow the lawn. So she mowed the lawn, you know, pushing it back and forth and back and forth. And those old push lawnmowers, you can turn them upside down and pull them when you're through, so you don't have to push it. And of course, when you pull it upside down, that puts the cutter blade on top, and that starts the cutters turning. And so she was pulling it back, and I thought, wow, now's my chance to put my hand on the blade, just like my dad did, because I want to see what it's like. You can see through it, but you can't put your hand through it. So anyway, I was waddling along behind her, and by the way, this is where I ran into my problems. I was waddling along behind her when that cutter blade snapped the end of my index finger off, and it bled quite badly. There, I just entered the altitude zone, which this is same thing that happened the time when I almost lost my drone. So now I'm going along, and nothing's happened yet. But I'm just getting a video of all the flooding and everything and not expecting any troubles. But if you look back a couple of videos, I almost lost my drone, I thought, because my downlink feed died. And so it's just about to happen again here. And what I'll do is we're looking at the screen recording, so I'll draw it down to the bottom, and you can see that the actual video camera on the drone was still taking videos. Now, last time I had a problem with this, I still got telemetry. But if you'll notice at the bottom of the screen, there is telemetry's locked up, the screen's locked up, and so when I could see that I wasn't going to be able to do anything, I turned off the smart controller and was going to turn it back on again. And that people have said if you turn the app off and turn it back on again, you'll get your signal back. So I turned off the smart controller, which takes a while to turn off, and then it takes a long time to turn back on. In the meantime, my little Mini 2 decided that he was going to come home. And so he's going up to the 200 and some odd feet I've got it set to, and he's headed home. In the meantime, I'm feverishly trying to get the the smart controller rebooted. And like I said, it doesn't just reboot really fast. So it's coming along, and pretty soon I get my app running, and I can see what's happening. And somewhere about in here, I got my picture on the screen. At first, I didn't know where it was, and then I figured it out. And then finally, I could see where I was. Then I went ahead and I took over, which was somewhere about right here, and I could probably also hear it. So I stopped it from on the return home, and then I just landed the drone. Well, that's the story. I want to thank you for watching my videos, and God bless.